Good morning and welcome to another little bridge, I don't know what we call these actually, bridge seminar-y kind of thing, a mixture of a bridge excitement. So we had a good week last week, I think, and a nice weekend, and lots to come this week. We're moving on to a new topic, talking about thinking defence. So we're going to do thinking defence for a whole month. So that's going to be a bit of hard work. As you know, whenever I talk about defence, I tend to use the term hardest part of the game. Well, if we add the word thinking to the hardest part of the game, you can imagine that we are going to be delving deep into our minds. Had some fun last Wednesday with the teams, the prize teams. I have to say congratulations to all the players. I thought the standard was excellent, and we had some really interesting hands. That was good. We had a successful real bridge test last week as well, and so hopefully we will be able to bring in some games on the wheel bridge and do a sort of revamp of how we run our bridge games as a whole. I've been talking about the novices as well. The beginner novices, we're going to have the software on board. Give us just a little bit longer. We want to do a few more tests on that, and then that will be on board on the website, so anybody can have a go at that, whether you're a player or not. You can at least, particularly the last few chapters are good for novices. We might try. I think what I'm going to try and do is go through a chapter with the novices over a period of 10 to 12 months and see if that helps. And you can send in questions and things like that. So today we're going to think about the defence, and I'll actually look at a suit contract. Actually, what I dealt with in the big seminar that's come out today is no trumps as a whole, but there is going to be lots to think about. Then we are going to talk. We're going to have our usual bidding quiz at the end. We'll have our hand evaluation hand. We've got our beginner's novice tip as well. Again, relatively straightforward. We've got a prize winner. I've got an extra hand sent in just to finish off the topic of the last month, a nice end play hand which was sent in a long time ago but I haven't managed to fit in yet, so we'll see. And the thing I'll be talking about on the website, the thing that's new as it were on the holiday site, is Croatia. So if you're interested in Croatia, we're going to do that in May. It's going to be BNB. It's going to be with Will there, but a number of you I know will have been to Croatia. Varvinj is where we go. People do enjoy that, and it's certainly one of my favourite parts of the world. And I'm hoping, that we'll go there regularly again. It's in the springtime in Croatia, and it really is a beautiful time there. Okay, so let's start by looking at the Q Plus hand there. So this is the hand evaluation, which those of you on Friday would have seen. And it's on the same topic that we're dealing with on Fridays at the moment, which is trying to define what forcing bids are. We're going to carry that on for at least 1 week, if not 2, and then we're going to move on Fridays on to Jacobi 2 no trumps. So the idea of having an artificial bid to say I've got strong support for a major. Okay, so we'll have a little look at that. So have a look at this hand, evaluate it if you will, but we're looking at it in the perspective of as you're fourth to bid. So you're the south player, nobody is vulnerable, you're fourth to bid. Imagine if the opening bid on your left from west was 1 diamond and your partner overcalled a heart. So let's say I went 1 diamond and your partner overcalled a heart. Okay, and then pass, and it would be your bid. So have a think about it in that. And of course, what's important with respect to that is that you're making your hand evaluation. You're evaluating the hand, because clearly, although it's got 10 points, you have to decide how good you think it is. Okay. All right. So we'll come back to that after our seminar. So let's do that now, and we'll go to the seminar. Let me go over there. So, thinking defence is the topic. As I say, the big seminar's on no trumps. And all I'm going to do today is we're going to look at one hand. Okay. Now, whenever I start pretty much any defensive hand, whenever I start with any defensive seminar, apologies, I talk about these three things, because they are the fundamental element of defence. You will have seen these before. I put them at the beginning of the big seminar, and I've also done them on the basic defence seminar. Okay, so you make your high cards work, and of course the other way we often define that is an ace's job is to kill a king. Well, it's actually to kill a high card. So the ace's job is to kill a king, queen, or jack. A king's job is to kill a queen or jack or 10. A queen's job is to kill a jack, 10 or 9, etc. And to be honest, if you keep that in mind, you will find you are a better defender. There will be times where you end up not making your ace. So maybe De Cler had a doubleton, you ducked twice, and you never made your ace. Do not worry about that if it only happens every so often, because so many other times your ace will kill a high card and will be worth a trick. So if you can, obviously we don't really want to go to bed with an ace, as it were. That's what the term "go to bed with an ace" means. You haven't taken it, and the opponents have had it and managed to make. Okay, all right. Do not waste your middle cards, and all that is second hand plays low. And as long as you generally play low, or no, don't have to be the lowest, but generally low, then your middle cards will be valuable on the third and fourth rounds. Your 9s and 8s and 10s often will be important on the third and fourth rounds. So don't put them in and think, oh, I better put that 9 in just in case partner's going to finesse the 6. Okay, De Cler is not going to be finessing 6s. Nobody plans to finesse 6s, and the key is they cannot see your cards, and that's a fundamental part of defence, of course. And lastly, the defensive finesse. The defensive finesse is all about making sure that when you lead, you tell your partner whether you've got an honour or not. If I'm sitting with the ace-queen of clubs or ace-queen-jack of clubs, that's exaggerated, I need to know who's got the king. I'm a defender. Dummy hasn't got it. Has De Cler got the king? Or has my partner? Well, my partner can help me, because if my partner leads the suit and leads a low one, I'm placing him with an honour. Whereas if he leads a high one, he will be denying a high card. And that's going to help in the situation. Okay, so those are the fundamentals. We're going to just look at one hand. It will be against a suit contract. Someone asking about that. Essentially, everything we're going to talk about today is exactly the same for no trumps and suits. We're then going to take things a bit further with regard to suit contracts. Okay, but this is going to focus on exactly the same thing as we talked about in the big seminar, if you get to see that in this week. So don't forget, I've got to put a green table in the middle there. So the green table is where the table is, and obviously north is at the top and east is where you are sitting. So you're going to be the east player, and we're going to look at an auction. South is the dealer. We cannot see South's hand. South opens 1 spade. Your partner passes. Okay, your partner passes. What would you bid with the north hand? So it's got a spade pass, and it would be your bid with the north hand there. It's not a very nice hand, is it? But you're probably just going to keep the bidding going with 2 clubs. Yes, we like to have 5 cards here, but in minors we're not certain. It just keeps the bidding fluid, as it were. Now, once they've started 1 spade, 2 clubs, you have got a nice hand sitting east, but you've got nothing to say. Okay, you haven't got a 4-card heart suit, so there's no reason to come in. So a spade, 2 clubs, with east and west end up keeping quiet. So we're not going to bid over a spade, 2 clubs. It then goes 2 spades from south. And now it's north's bid again. So it goes a spade, 2 clubs, 2 spades. What do you fancy now with the south, with the north hand? It's just an 8 loser hand, so in many ways 3 spades might be enough, but I have to say with 13 high card points it is tempted to bid 4. As you've probably guessed, 3 spades might be the winner, because if we defend this correctly, they're only going to make 9 tricks. But this North decided to bid 4 spades. He said, look, I've got 13 points. I know we've got a good spade suit. He would love to be able to say 4 spades, but if you really want to, we could play in 3 no trumps. But we know we've got a good spade suit. I mean, obviously, North is very flat. But anyway, he's gone for 4 spades. So we're defending against 4 spades, and it's our partner's lead. And he leads the 3 of hearts. Okay, so 3 of hearts is led, and now dummy comes down. Remember, we hadn't seen dummy before. So now what you've got to do is, what I'm going to say to you is, what are you going to do? So what do you do when the 3 of hearts is played and, I don't know, the ace of hearts is perhaps played from dummy? What do you do? And the crucial thing is that when you're defending, and at trick 1, I want you to take your time. Okay, I want you to take your time. You've got a lot to think about. So what we're going to try to do is to go through each suit. So don't just think about the heart suit. I want you to go through each suit. Okay, remember we are defending. So we don't have a choice of drawing trumps, okay? Okay, so your job here is to think about every suit. So not just hearts, but to think about spades, hearts, diamonds, and clubs, okay? So the idea is, at trick 1, take your time. And you might think, oh, you're not allowed to take your time. Well, you are at trick 1. I mean, I'm not talking a huge amount of time, but most of the time, if I play a defensive card, I'm generally going to take 5 to 10 seconds on it. Whereas at trick 1, when dummy comes down, I'm going to look at dummy, okay? And I'm going to work out what my plan is for the defense. Now, planning for the defense isn't easy, but all I want you to do is think about answering about 5 or 6 questions for me at trick 1. And if you do that, it'll do 2 things. One, it'll get you ready for the play of each suit. But the second thing is, it'll get your mind into gear, okay? So it'll get your mind into gear. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean that declare play, bidding, and most things in bridge, they follow a normal, I suppose what you could call logical pattern, and your mind can get into gear for those easily. Defense is the most different part of bridge. It is not an easy thing to do naturally. So what you need to do is almost train your brain to get into a different place. So I'm going to think about each suit. What would you do in spades? So what I do is I say to myself, if the queen of spades was led, what would I play if the 3 of spades was played? Well, spades are trumps, so that is slightly different, and I have a feeling I might end up putting the ace on that, okay, and maybe leading another one or something like that. In hearts, what would I play? Well, the chances are I would probably just play my lowest here. I don't see any reason to show anything particularly different. Your partner's surely got the queen of hearts, so there's not too much to worry about there. I don't think you need any urgent switches or anything like that. Okay, in diamonds, this is important. This is where I like to plan. If a low diamond is led, my plan is to play a low diamond. If a queen of diamonds is led, I will use my ace to kill it. So I get myself into that habit. A low diamond, I'll play a lower one. Some of you will play high-low to show your count, so maybe the 6 of diamonds if you're happy with that, or the 2. You make the decision now, not when a diamond is led. Because if you make it now, let's say Declarer decides to lead a low diamond, when you play low, you play it nice and smoothly, and nobody knows you've got the ace. Or the queen of diamonds led, you can put the ace on, because you're clearly killing the queen has got to be a good idea. If a club was led, similar thing really. If the 2 was led, I'd be playing a small one. Again, if you play count, you might play the 5 rather than the 4. Okay, if the jack was led, I will probably put the queen on, okay, which seems reasonable, but you don't need to think about that now. There's a fair chance, it's one of these situations which can be tricky, but I think usually if declared, it's going to be an unusual lead, the jack. But I try to go through it in my head. So when the jack is led, I've got to make that decision. I do not mind you deciding to play low if the jack is led. But I want you to make that decision now. Because if you play low, and perhaps declare had ace, king, 10 and was trying to fish for the queen, if you play low nice and smoothly, he might not take the finesse. But for me, I think queen on jack, using my high card to kill the high card there. Okay, but as I say, if you make your decision now, you're in a good place. Okay, remember, when we go back to live bridge, the hesitations are going to make more difference. Playing on the computer, you're not always sure whether there's a hesitation or not. Okay, so the next question is, I'm going to get the lead here. Okay, so clearly we're going to get the lead in this defence. Do we want to switch? That's what we've got to decide. So it's a really important question. We go through each suit in turn. Now remember, as you get used to playing this, you do it quite quickly. But again, what's important is think about the lead now. So think about what you're going to do if you get the lead. So how good is your partner's lead? Do you want to play the suit back, etc.? So the question is there a good suit to switch to? Okay, and here, what we discussed there when we were talking about diamonds and clubs was that we wanted our ace of diamonds to kill the queen of diamonds and the queen of clubs to kill the jack. Well, if you want that to happen, you do not want to be switching to those suits. Because if you lead the two of diamonds, for example, there's a good chance it might run to the queen. Of course, your partner might have the king, that would be lovely. But too often, if you lead the two, it will run to the queen, and you will not have killed that queen. And the same could happen in clubs. You lead a small one, it could run to the jack. Suddenly your queen hasn't done its job. So no, the answer is both a diamond and a club would be risky. I guess if your partner at some point did a huge signal to say, oh, I like diamonds, partner, then that's different. But to be honest, we're not expecting our partner to have many points, are we? We've got 12, Dummy's got 13, and South opened the bidding. Okay, so it's not going to surprise us that the Queen of Hearts might be the only high card your partner's got. Okay, so no is the question. So at this point, at trick one, I'm basically deciding, okay, I'm not going to switch to clubs or diamonds, so, I might as well just lead a heart back. I mean, you could switch to trumps if you wanted to. It's a passive switch, but why not? Dummy's completely flat. You can't see any roughing coming there. Your partner's lead isn't magic, but it's not done any harm. And you could knock out the ace king, and who knows? I suppose your partner might just have 4 hearts, and there might be a heart trick on your way. Okay, so let's just go through it and see if we're happy. So the ace of hearts is played, and we have done our business. So we just play a low one there. Don't see any particular reason to say the jack 10, simply because you're not going to get an entry with it because declarer's got the king. Okay, slightly different if you're in a situation where you think your partner might be able to underlead. So perhaps if your partner had led the king on this hand and the ace was in dummy, you could then play the jack to promise the 10, and partner might be able to get you on lead. Not that you'd want to be on lead on this hand because you want partner leading to you. Okay, so there's the first trick. The next trick, no surprise, the queen of spades it comes out, as Louise said earlier. Yeah, win the heart and lead a trump is exactly what declarer's plan is. Don't think there's any reason to duck it. That's what I was sort of implying. So I think I'd probably win the ace of spades there. Seems normal. And I've done my thinking. So in tempo, I would just lead the jack of hearts. And what's important is I've done my thinking. So I'm not at this point thinking, oh, shall I switch or shall I not? I've already done that. So I'm playing in tempo. I win the ace of spades, and smoothly I would lead the jack of hearts next. Okay, if in doubt, return partner's lead. I don't mind if you switch to a trump here. It's not the end of the world. Okay, but why not lead the jack of hearts? I have a feeling partner's got 5 of them, but who knows? Okay, For me, not a huge amount. Someone suggesting ducking a trump, can't think of a reason really to. You're not doing any damage to anybody to declare there by ducking. Declarer's got 3 rounds of spades anyway and has obviously high cards in their hands, so it's not going to be the end of the world ducking. But so, and I just switched the jack of hearts, and that would be that. Okay, so let's have a look at the full hand. It's a relatively straightforward hand in terms that that any defensive hand isn't straightforward, shall we say? But it's as easy as they come. So West was on lead. A load of rubbish. I've got sympathy probably with the 10 of diamonds lead isn't the worst lead there. I mean, the club lead's not the end of the world, but whether I would let a heart, I think I might have led a trump actually. A heart lead turns out to be safe from West, but I'm not sure it's necessarily a perfect lead. Anyway, the heart was led, okay, and what we did then was we went through each suit and we analysed that the important suits for us were the diamonds and the clubs. Our job was not to lead those and to make sure our ace of diamonds kills the queen and the queen of clubs kills the jack. And so often if those 2 cards are in dummy, you mustn't lead them yourself. And Declarer's hopefully going to have to lead them himself. There's not, what can he do? Remember, he doesn't know you have all the strength. It's not like those end play hands where we've looked at situations where, Declarer can end. He's got no idea that we've got. Now, if we'd made a naughty double or something in the bidding, if it had gone 1 spade, 2 clubs, and East had for some reason doubled, of course, hasn't got 4 hearts, it certainly shouldn't be. But if you had shown your strength, then I could have actually put this in last, you could imagine putting this in last week's end play stuff, and you might get some form of end play. But clearly, South has no idea what is in our hand, and as long as we play smoothly, so we're getting ready, we're thinking what to do in the hand later on, then hopefully Declarer's not going to be aware that we've got any struggle on what to lead, and Declarer's probably, I would have thought, going to play the ace king and another club off at some point, hoping the clubs either break 3-3 or West has the queen of clubs. That seems a relatively normal play. So Declarer loses a club trick, and then we could just play a heart back at that. Well, we'll play the 4th round of clubs, declare a ruff, and then try and make something in diamonds. Okay, and as you can see, we'll end up making 2 diamond tricks because Declarer has the king and queen, but it's the classic situation when Declarer has the king and queen of a suit. As long as the ace kills one of them, Declarer just makes 2 tricks in the suit, with some very small exceptions. So here, our ace kills the queen at some point. Declarer has 2 diamond losers. Okay, clubs. Declarer loses 1, and we've clearly the ace of spades is going to be lost as well. There's not much chance for Declarer there, because we've always going to have probably an exit card, unless Declarer knew everything. I think probably. If you knew the exact shapes of the cards, just having a little think there, I'm not even sure you can do that either. Okay, so I think Declarer is going to go down as long as East, funnily enough, is passive. So, funnily enough, it is one of those hands where 3 no trumps might do okay. Although I think Declarer, on a heart lead, I think 3 no trumps I think might be okay actually. I think you might make it. It's not easy to bid to it though, really difficult. Other than, funnily enough, if you choose a 1 no trump opening, which some of you might do. So on this occasion, a 1 no trump opening is going to work better for you. In the south hand, if you choose 1 no trump, it would go 3 no trumps from north. It would be quite difficult to defeat that, I think. So it'll be an interesting one. I think it's not too difficult. Declare could duck a heart, and that would be the end of that, really. Okay, so what's interesting is if there'll be people making 4 spades because East defends badly. So all I want you to do when we're this month is to take your time in defence, and I want you to put the work in at trick 1 to go through each suit if you can. Okay, to go through each suit if you can, and if you can do that, as I say, you won't even know what you're doing. Part of what you're doing is getting yourself into groove. Okay, so you're getting your head into the groove. So and as I say, you'll only get some questions right by getting yourself into groove, because I'm showing what I would term a normal defensive hand here. Okay, but some of the things we might look at, there'll be more difficult things to see, and the only way you can see them is if you take that time at trick 1. If you've never done this before, it will take you longer than is normal. So bear that in mind. It is easier to do this in practice sessions and try to take your time. But as you do it more commonly, I mean, also bear in mind, if you look at the West hand going through each suit would be much easier. West would be going, yeah, okay, nothing in spades, nothing in, etc. Clearly, East had a lot to think about most of the time. Okay. The key here is if 4 spades happens to make, it's going to get a better score than 3 no trumps. 4 spades should not make, but as I say, a lot of defenders will make mistakes. They'll think the heart lead's not good, and they might switch to clubs or diamonds, and if they do, if you switch to a club from the East hand, of course, the club will run to the jack. I think Declare should do that. The 4 of clubs lead, Declare should put the 3 on, and it will run to the jack, and that's enough to make the contract. Clearly a diamond switch, I think, would be relatively poor, and that would run to the queen, and then Declare can lead towards his king. So if East switches, Declare makes 4 spades and then beats anybody in 3 no trumps. Okay, yeah, I mean, I think you're lucky in 3 no trumps on this hand. It just so happens that if they lead the 10 of diamonds, of course, Wester doesn't have any more entries, so they can't lead diamonds again. Okay, so as I say, I was trying to spend quite a bit of time on one hand there, because we're trying to get ourselves revved up for doing thinking defence. Have those of you on the site, do have a look at the big seminar and take a bit of time over that one. What we're going to try and do this month is see how that can change the way we defend. Okay, see whether we can change the way we defend by just taking our time at trick 1. So whenever the lead is made, when dummy comes down, do not play to the first trick. Doesn't matter how fast Declarer plays. So if Declarer plays some dummy straight away, take your time. Your job is to look at all of the suits, not just the suit led. And then later on, that is when we play in tempo. That is the term. We play in tempo. Okay. Okay. Let's just go to the Q+. So someone's saying there, what lead would you make? I don't think I'd have led the 10 of clubs necessarily, 10 Doubleton. I might have led the 10 of diamonds, or perhaps most likely a trump from that hand, I think. It doesn't really matter what West leads. The only thing is they might give away the shape of the hands if they lead the 10 of clubs. So that might help Declarer a little bit, and Declarer might try and play it in a different way. Okay, but I don't think Declarer is ever quite going to get home. So here's the hand that we were looking at, the hand evaluation. So first and foremost, this is a bare hand. You have got a 5 card clubs and you have got 2 aces. So I think I'm still in the realms of 10 points when I'm evaluating it. Okay. However, once the bidding starts, things are clearly changing. Okay, a diamond, a heart, pass. Okay, so it's got a diamond on your left, a heart from your partner. My excitement is diminishing. Okay, so I have got 2 aces, and you should like aces, but we tend to like aces more in suit contracts than no trumps. We still love them in no trumps, but they are very much your 2 tricks there. You haven't got a fit with partner's suit, and the Queen of Diamonds is looking a little dodgy. So, I'm not really excited about this hand. And the question is, what should we do? Well, I'm looking at my hand really. I'm not sure I can think of a reason for bidding. Okay, now I do not mind you bidding 1 no trump, but do you need to bid 1 no trump? I mean, if partner's got a decent hand, 1 heart might be just as good as 1 no trump. You haven't really got a diamond suit. I think if I threw the 10 of diamonds in, just simply the 10 of diamonds in, that would probably sway me enough. But given you just got queen to 3, you can't really guarantee that you've got a diamond stopper. So yes, South might have the ace and king, but he might cash the ace and then switch when partner signals, and eventually his partner gets the lead. Or, in worst case scenario, East might have one of the high cards. So given that you haven't got a diamond stopper, and let's be honest, it's not obvious that you're going to do, you're going to make a lot of tricks. Your partner could have a really good hand here, but how good? Give him a 15 count. So, sometimes it depends on where your limit is. 16, quite often we might bid a bit more, but even with 15 here, you haven't got a fit. If your Queen of Diamonds is worth less, and that's what I'm suggesting, well then, I think your hand is 9 points here. Okay, at most, probably 9 points. In which case, you need 16 from your partner. But you still haven't got a fit, and you haven't got a diamond stopper. So once in a blue moon, you might miss a game. But I'm saying once in a blue moon. I believe that more likely, it's all a matter of, of getting to the best part score. Remember, what we talk about in evaluation is if we've got some meat in there, throw a couple of 10s in there, and I'm a little bit more excited. And if I feel my hand was worth 10 points, I think, it's worth bidding something. However, don't forget what 2 clubs means. What we were saying on a Friday is if we increase the level of the bidding, then 2 clubs should really be a forcing bid. Okay, now we had a little discussion with this as some people play other things, but generally I would regard 2 clubs as a forcing bid, which means my partner has to bid again. Okay, and bear in mind, I would say really you're going to miss a game of 1 in 100, 1 in 50 times here. Okay, so for me, it's actually a pass. Okay, so let's just open up the hands and have a look. Okay, so for me, 2 clubs would be forcing, so I would just pass. I don't know whether West will choose to reopen on this. West has, which is interesting. Okay, so now your opponents are getting into the realms of being in an ugly contract themselves. So we were in 1 heart, which we might scrape home in, I think. 1, 2, 3, yeah, okay. And they might finish in 1 spade there, possibly. Okay, if we bid 1 no trump on this particular hand, you would lose the first 5 tricks. And I think probably against the most accurate defence that you might go 2 off in 1 no trump. Playing in, it's quite interesting, isn't it? Playing in 1 spade, I think it's going to be quite interesting, isn't it? You're definitely going to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tricks. You might even get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, be interesting. So it's a very tight hand. But I feel 1 no trump 2 offs isn't going to be fun. I think they've done well to stick at 1 spade. The important thing here is that if you bid 2 clubs, you finish in 2 hearts, probably, which is too high. But hopefully you can see here that your Queen of Diamonds was rubbish. And, I don't mind you then bidding 1 no trump later over 1 spade, I suppose. But for me, the important thing on the hand is we've evaluated it as 9 points rather than 10. And hence we've decided not to go for it. Hands 20-20, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Remember, if you only go 1 off in the 1 no trump, it is better than 1 spade scraping home. However, what's nice is that 2 diamonds is probably a better contract for them. 2 hearts is horrible. Don't want to be there, do we? I'm not sure we want to be anywhere, to be honest. What are you going to lose? I think, to be honest, I think a lot of you will probably try and establish the hearts, and that doesn't work. And so I would have thought 1 no trump -2 is probably about right. And that's 100, whereas 1 spade making is only 80. If the Queen of Diamonds was the King of Diamonds, we're definitely going to bid. Yeah, good point there. I mean, or even if I threw the 10 of Diamonds in there, or the 10, I mean, it doesn't take much, so I might get the same result, but I would feel with Queen 10 small of Diamonds, there's a fair chance that I've got a bit more. Okay, the problem with bidding 1 no trump here is that if West had 19, West would be at a double here. I think West would probably pass 1 no trump. I mean, double's not the worst bid over 1 no trump, although the Queen of Hearts in West's hand doesn't look very good. Okay, so I have to say I would probably pass if you bid 1 no trump. The problem with South, though, is if you do bid a no trump, you finish in a no trump. And as I say, I think you go 2 off in 1 no trump, and that's too much. Clearly, if East ended up, I mean, if the opponents had a bit more strength, you might even be in 1 no trump doubled. Although I think, I think you're more likely to be in undoubled. Okay, so an interesting one there. Passed, not an easy bid. So we've downgraded that hand quite a bit from the start, and that's the key on the hand. Okay, so we've got our prize winner coming up. We've also got our little tip. Now, this is a very simple tip today, and we're going to focus on novices and beginners because when I bring in the software on the site, we're going to look to try and help and be involved in that. So generally, this is going to be the tip of the day is going to be focused on as we gradually get, going from beginners to novice and through on. So the first one is very much a beginner's tip, and that's just to remind you, those of you who are starting out in the game, that the suits are in alphabetical order, because it does take a little bit of time to remember which order the suits are. So they go spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs, and that is alphabetical order. Because we're not going to hold the suits in that order in our hand, and that is important. Because again, when we go back to live bridge, it is imperative that we do black, red, or red, black. I don't mind. Okay, so black, red, black, red, black. I do not mind, but it's so important that you keep the red suits and the black suits apart so that you do not get the suits confused. Because when we go back to bridge, remember, we will be revoking again, I'm afraid. I can't wait for it. I'm not saying I can't wait for the revokes and things, but I'm sure David Stevenson's excited because he'll get a few more questions, because of course when we go back to live bridge, we've got to deal with more director's calls for the more normal things. Okay, and it is exciting to be able to revoke. Is going to be, I know it's embarrassing when it happens, but I think it's going to be a good feeling for a director to go to a call. Okay, so don't forget, black, red, keep the suits apart. Okay, yes, every so often you get the telltale sign that someone's avoiding a suit because they pick up a suit and move it in their hand to make sure it still goes black, red, black, or something like that. Okay. So the other element is that's to avoid confusing the suit. The other element that is going to be key when we go back to live bridge. Note, I'm sure there's some beginners there who haven't even played with cards in the hand. The other element that is key is to hold your cards up. So the term that was used when I was taught, and I'm not sure it would be taught anymore, is breast your cards. It is something that teachers don't always teach, is how to hold your cards. It is probably one of the most important lessons you can have, because for the most part, people sit with their hands flattish, like they read a book. And of course, we mustn't do that. They need to be straight, or look at them and then put them to your breast, as it were. Okay, but they need to be straight. So if you are a teacher out there, do not forget that lesson, to teach beginners to hold their cards upright. Because the earlier they learn that, then they'll just keep doing it. I mean, there's times when you play against people when you're playing live, I know it's hard to remember, where you ask them to hold their cards up, and you do that a couple of times. After that, the rules almost state this, that look, please try and get them not to show your hands. But after that, clearly you try not to take advantage, but you can't, if you know the Queen of Clubs is in one hand, it's not as if you should definitely not deliberately finesse into the other one, okay? I'm sorry, but, once it's not fair on you, so they would be disadvantaging you. So if, you warn them, you try to warn them, etc., but in the end, it's not your fault that the Ace of Diamonds is in the West Hand. It's their fault for showing it to you. We don't look at their cards, of course not. But, we're just, if it's in our peripheral vision, there's nothing we can do. Okay, so that's a really important lesson for people, is to hold your cards upright, or, if you're willing to remember them well enough, you can actually breast them to your hand cards, to your chest. Okay, so, well, our prize winner this week is someone that you might know. He's online today. It's Brian Davies. So well done, Brian. You are our prize winner for the prize winner teams. So you're going to be in seat 1, 2, or 3 there. So 1 would be with me, 2 would be on my against me, and 3 will be at the other table. So let's just do a little shuffle. I'm going to choose one of those cards in a moment. I'm going to choose that card there. Well, there you go, Brian. You're going to be my partner, if you fancy that, at the end of the month. Okay, so good luck to you. Good luck to me as well. So that should be some fun. And I will send you an email with regard to that coming up. Okay, so let's just come to here. No, I think we're going to have to skip that again, I'm afraid. I think we're going to have to skip that again. I think we are. Yep. So we will try to look at the end play one soon. The end play, I got sent this hand from Richard a long time ago, and it was a very nice example, which he didn't get right. He was honest enough to say he didn't get right, but I will show you that soon. But here we're going to look at the bidding quiz, okay? And so this is the bidding quiz. Don't forget, you can always look up this answer. You can always look up this answer. So this is, as have the last quite a few bidding quiz been, taking us a little bit deeper into the bidding and making sure we're happy with the way our system works. So here the auction starts 1 spade from your partner. You jump to 3 spades, which shows 8 losers in your system. So 8 losers and 4 spades. And then your partner bids 4 diamonds. So 1 spade, 3 spades, 4 diamonds from your partner, and it is your bid. Okay, that was a good answer from John Josephs, I must say. Well done, John. I think you summed that one up. So yes, so 1 spade, 3 spades, 4 diamonds, and you do remember, okay, you do need to think about this. Okay, so so have a think about it. Okay, because it's not as easy as you think. And if you're not sure of the answer, you can always look at the seminar on Q bidding, which was a long time ago. I think it was seminar 3 or 4. And have a think about it. Okay, so but obviously you can look at the bidding and the answer as well. Remember, you can get the answer online whether you're a member or not. And if you're not a member, why not? Got to remind you that as well. Do look at the holiday website. We've got the Croatia cruise on there. I'm also hopefully soon going to be introducing a few more events that we'll be doing. Not this year. I feel we've got enough for this year, but we will be introducing some earlier next year as well. So I hope you enjoyed that today. We're going to be thinking about defence now for a whole month. So you'll need to have your thinking caps on our Monday shows. Hope you enjoyed that, And see you through the week. And if you fancy the teams, obviously we're there on Wednesday. So thanks very much.